Amen. And this is the word of the Lord. It's found in Ezekiel chapter 37, verses 1 through 3. The hand of the Lord was upon me and carried me out in the spirit of the Lord, and set me down in the midst of the valley which was full of bones, caused me to pass by them round about, and behold, there were very many in the open valley, and lo, they were very dry. He said unto me, Son of man, can these bones live? And I answered, O Lord, thou knowest. I want to just talk briefly from the thought, lifeless but not hopeless. Lifeless but not hopeless. There was a letter that was sent by the Indiana Department of Social Service to a person who had been receiving governmental assistance through their division. The letter read as follows: Dear ma'am, your food stamps will be stopped in March because we have received notice that you have passed away. May God bless you. You may reapply if there's any change in your circumstance. In a funny way, this little story mirrors the situation found in the 37th chapter of Ezekiel. The bones were dead. They were lifeless, but they were not hopeless. And for the past few years, during Black Excellence Month, we have been working with a fixed definition of hope. And we said this definition comes from Dr. Barbara Fredrickson, who once served as the principal investigator of the positive emotion psychosociology lab, as well as a professor at the University of North Carolina. Dr. Fredrickson defined hope for us in this way. She said, hope comes into play when our circumstances are dire, when things are not well, or at least there's uncertainty about how things will turn out. She said, hope opens up and removes the binders of fear and despair by allowing us to see the big picture and also to become creative in establishing a better future. Dr. Fredrickson's definition, we have carefully identified many of the issues that have held us back as black people as we have gone through each February for the past few years, dissecting this definition and applying it to our current situation. And we saw that it served to show us that we have not made the progress that we should have. But along with that, we also see that we never would have made it as far as we have come without some measure of hope. But our task now is to continue to strive to make sure that we do not lose hope. Hope is an interesting word, because hope implies that what a person desires can actually really be attained. It also suggests that our current situation may get better if there are the correct influences. Therefore, hope is the determination that things are bound to turn around. I may not know when. I may not know how. But I'm hoping that it won't be like this always. And hope becomes, listen, the key element in the definition, in the biblical definition of the word faith. Hebrews 11:1 said, now faith is the substance of things hoped for, evidence of things not seen. It is therefore hope that keeps our faith intact. We have to have something to hope for. If we don't have anything to hope for, then we have diminished the opportunities or don't see clearly the possibility of ever getting out of whatever we're in. I don't know what you're in this morning. In fact, there's probably no way to find out the full detail of all of our situations or circumstance. But if you lose hope, you will stay exactly where you are. Most people understand that God is in control. Indeed, He is. But we often struggle with understanding what His will is in my current situation. What is the will of the Lord? How is God going to change this for me? Why is my life like it is right now? Why am I where I am in life right now? Why does it seem like nothing is changing and nothing is getting better? Well, if we were to take Dr. Fredrickson's definition, we don't have the type of life we wish for because we haven't been as creative as we should have been. We weren't as creative as we should have been because we failed to see the big picture. And when we don't see the big picture, we let despair dominate the way that we think. And when we let despair dominate our thinking, we become afraid of what is binding us up, thereby giving it more power to keep us in bondage. What this means, brothers and sisters, is that your mind has got to think beyond where you are. Unless and until you are able to think beyond where you are and seek to find a better place. The fact that you are where you are right now, limiting your thinking, will become the trap that keeps you in the cycle of defeat. This is a heavy definition because this has identified really the true struggle of the African American in Western society. It's a summation of all of this means that we have become satisfied where we are. We have let the influences of negativity become the handcuffs and the chains to keep us where we are. Can I tell you, it's in our music, it's in our culture, it is in the way we dress, it's in the things that we glamorize. These are all traps to keep us in the same shape we are in. And what hurts us worse is if one decides to think outside the box and to do better and to excel. Those who don't want to excel will try to pull them right back down. We don't say it, but we've lost hope. We don't act like it, but we've lost hope. We pretend that we haven't, but we have lost hope. We will never be anybody better than where we are right now, because we have actually settled with the place of losing hope. Indeed, that's what's wrong. That's what's wrong with a whole lot of us sitting in here this morning. You have no plan for your life. You have no sense of direction. You have no kind of things that you're hoping for. Now understand that hope is not just wishing that things will change. Hope is not just positive thinking and positive speaking about I wish that I was a millionaire. Life just doesn't simply work by what you think or what you wish. You have got to enact a plan, and that plan must be sensible. It must make sense. It must be created from your own origination. In other words, you can't be successful copying somebody else. You got to want it for yourself. And unless and until you want it for yourself, the only thing you will do is be judgmental or critical of those that have what you don't have. Hope is not just wishing that things would change, but hope is taking the next step, as Dr. Fredrickson says, to become creative in making those changes come to pass. And this is what we have preached for a long time, for several years. And we preached it even the beginning of this year, that real change requires a heart change. Unless and until our hearts change, any change that we do make will be simply temporary at best and limited to our self-will, which does not last very long. If it's not in your heart, it will not be in your life. So this keeps us then again in the cycle of hopelessness, passing on to the next generation the same set of circumstances that we inherited. But somebody has got to say enough is enough. Somebody needs to say that we can do better than this. Not only can we do better, it will start with me. Will you be the one to say, it will start with me? Will you be the one that says it will start with my children? Will you be the one that says, sign me up for the PTA and let me get involved in the education of my children? Very rarely do we commit ourselves to where the real need is. We'll leave that up to somebody else to do it. We will trust that others have our best interest in mind. And true enough, that is possible, but it's very unlikely. And when we are hopeless, brothers and sisters, somebody else needs to help us to do what we should already do for ourselves. When we are hopeless, brothers and sisters, somebody else has to teach for us what we should have been teaching someone else. When we are hopeless, others will pick us up and carry us when we should have been the ones carrying someone else. When we are hopeless, we want other people to do it for me instead of me doing it for myself. It is a sense of entitlement that has plagued the black culture. Y'all better hear me, Donald Trump. You better start taking him serious. And I do believe that if he gets in there, we're talking about some shutting down of a whole lot of the things that we felt that we are entitled to. When the opportunities have been presented to us, We must stop looking for excuses and take advantage. Coming outside of our comfort zone. Doing what we've never done before. Facing the challenges that are necessary to excel. It won't happen unless you want it to. It won't happen unless there is a hard change. It won't happen until we say we are sick and tired, as Fannie Lou would say, of being sick and tired. This mentality now has many of us sitting in here expecting people to give us things that they have worked for. Oh, God, help me today. And they will get upset if you don't give them what you have worked for. It's pathetic to know that I had to get up every day, go to my job to get this. Your lazy self ain't did nothing but stayed at home and collected a check. I really pray they cut some of these checks off. We are talking crazy, even got our children playing crazy to collect checks, and the one who need it can't get it. Oh, y'all ain't gonna hear. This idea, my issue is your problem, has plagued us to the point till we now are satisfied riding the system. But in our text this morning, the prophet Ezekiel says, the hand of the Lord was upon him. The power of the Lord was upon him and carried him, listen, out in the spirit of the Lord. Set him down in the midst of the valley. This valley, brothers and sisters, was a valley that was filled with bone. The situation for Ezekiel's saints was certainly a hopeless case. Not only was it hopeless, elders, it was both hopeless and lifeless. The scripture says that Ezekiel, describing the events occurring to him, he says, he caused me to pass by them roundabout. In other words, he put me in the middle of it. Some of you know what it's like to be in the middle of a hopeless situation. To be placed right smack dab in the middle of a lightless condition. Ezekiel is there, and he said he caused me to go roundabout, and I noticed going about that it wasn't just one hopeless situation. It was a combination of hopelessness in the valley. There were many in the valley. Many hopeless people in the valley. Many lifeless people in the valley. Many black folks in the valley. Many of our children in the valley. Many of our principals, as many would say, in the valley. Many of church folks was in this valley. Many convicts were in the valley. Choir members were in this valley. Preachers were in the valley. Deacons and mothers, ushers were in the valley. He said many were in this valley. Understanding this, then Ezekiel has identified another point, that all of us at one point or another will be in the valley. Some people act like they never been in the valley. act like they've never been at their lowest. But I heard David say, hey, though I walk through, even David was in the valley. Things can happen in the valley. Can I preach now? Understanding this, Ezekiel saw that the situation was not only lifeless. Understood that the situation was not only hopeless, but he also knew that if anything was going to change, it would not be because his name was Ezekiel. It would not be because of his high status in society. It would not be because he had studied the priesthood and understood the prophetic role. Ezekiel understood, church, that the only way anything could change in a hopeless situation was that God would have to speak to the condition. He said, a son of man, can these bones live? I feel like preaching that. Oh yes, in other words, no matter how bad it looks, no matter how we struggle as African Americans in America, no matter how they keep killing our boys in the streets, no matter how the drugs have made a rampage of our community, no matter how bad our daughters keep getting pregnant out of wedlock, no matter how bad our boys have to face the racism in the classroom, ain't God all right? There is hope. Look at somebody and tell them there is hope. The Lord told Ezekiel, he said, what I want you to do, Ezekiel, the only way that we can give some life to the hopeless situation, we got to get the word out. You got to prophesy to these bones. Ain't the Lord all right? And sometime, preachers, you're going to feel just like Ezekiel down in the valley, wondering if anybody is paying any attention. Wonder, is anybody's life coming back together? Wonder, does anybody believe that there is a God that can fix their situation? But Ezekiel said, oh, drive on. Good God Almighty. Oh, I feel the Holy Ghost. I dare you to touch somebody and tell them, oh, dry bones, hear the words of the Lord. Ain't he all right? Let's do it one more time. Oh, dry bone. I hear the words of the Lord. My situation is turning around. How do you know it? Oh, dry bone. My condition have got to get better. How do you know it, Harvey? Oh, dry bone. My sickness have got to be healed. How do you know it, Harvey? Help me say it, church. Dry bone. Hear the word of the Lord. And after a while, and by and by, there was a shaking, there was a rumbling in the valley. The bones heard the word. Ain't he all right? And the foot bone found the ankle bone, and the ankle bone found the shin bone. The shin bone found the knee bone. The knee bone found the thigh bone. The thigh bone found the hip bone. The hip bone found the backbone. The backbone found the shoulder bone. Shoulder bone found the arm bone. The arm bone found the hand bone. Ain't he all right? The neck bone found the head bone. And they stood up as the army in the valley. High five somebody and tell them it's coming together. Oh, dry bone. One more time, church. I'm going to stop, y'all. I ain't finished. Hear the word of the Lord. And Father, today we have heard your word. And we say, there is hope. Even in the valley. We say, it's not over. Even if it looked like it's over. We prophesy to the bones in the valley. Oh, dry bones, hear the word of the Lord. The grass withereth, the flower fadeth, but the word will stand forever.